Howdy. We are still in Unit 2 on angles, and today is Topic 5, talking about angle addition and the angle bisector concepts, things we did a little bit with segments in the last unit, but now we're talking about angle addition and angle bisector. So before we dive into that, uh, flip in your book to your bell work and look at warm-up number 3. Pause the video, and when you're done with that, come and see how you did. So looking at the first one, they're complementary angles, so they add up to 90. Now this little m means the measure of the angle is this. Sometimes this is the more technically accurate way to do it when I'm putting degrees on here. So I added them up to equal 90. I found that x was 5, and then I just took the 5 and plugged them back into those two equations to get 18 and 72. The only thing different on question 2 is that they're supplementary angles now. So instead of adding to 90, they add to 180. And it's just another algebra problem to find out that x is 11 and angles A and B are 42 and 138 respectively. You can pause the video and look at my work if you need help with that. But also as a reminder, you can check it by taking these two angles to see that they do in fact add to 90, or these two angles to see that they do in fact add to 180. Now let's get into today's lesson. The angle addition postulate, similar to the segment addition postulate from the last unit, says that if two angles are adjacent angles, then we can add them up to get the measure of the whole thing. Or in other words, the part plus the part equals the whole, or color coding what I've got here, QPR plus RPS is going to add up to give me QPS. And that should make sense, and we can go again with the idea of P plus P equals H. So if AOC, that's the whole thing, adds up to 70, and AOB is X plus 10, and BOC is X, then I ought to be able to write part plus part equals whole, or X plus 10 plus X is the whole of 70. So 2x plus 10 is 70, or 2x is 60, or x is 30. It says find BOC, so BOC is in fact 30. And then the other one would be 30 plus 10, which is 40. All right, let's look at example 2. Given that PQR, the whole thing, is 87, and PQS is 5x minus 3, and SQR is 2x minus 1, find x and SQR. Okay, well, the part plus the part equals the whole. So 5x minus 3 plus 2x minus 1 equals 87. So combining my like terms, I've got 7x minus 4 is 87. Add 4 to each side. Divide by 7. X is 13. And then I need to find SQR. So that was this blue part. So that's 2 times 13 minus 1, 26 minus 1 is 25. And that's the idea of the angle addition postulate. Now the next part talks about an angle bisector. So if we know two angles have equal measures, then we say that these two angles are congruent. And that little symbol that I've highlighted in yellow means congruent. It's an equal sign with a little tilde over it. And I would say that the angles have equal measures, but the shapes of them are congruent. So congruent means same size and shape. Congruent means same size and shape. So an angle bisector is something like a line, array, or a segment that divides an angle into two congruent angles. Not only does it go between the rays of the angle, it divides it into two congruent angles. And if you'll notice these little marks on here, similar to what I used before, that little mark with the line on it means that it's the same as the other little mark with a line on it. And you'll see how this works as I do this next example. So FG bisects EFH. Bisects means this angle is the same as this angle. And IFH is a straight angle. Aha, that means it's 180. If EFG is 50, EFG is 50, find GFH. Well, GFH, part equals part. Part equals part because it's the idea of it being a bisector. So if EFG is 50, then GFH must also be 50. Now, it didn't ask me here, but what would EFI be? EFI, that I'll do in blue, this angle right, that's not blue. EFI, this blue angle, they would all have to add up to 180 because they make a straight line. So I've got 50 and 50. This part right here must be 80 degrees to end up with a straight angle. All right, so again, when do we set them equal? When do we set our equations equal? Vertical angles, like we talked about yesterday. And if I've got an angle bisector, bisect means cut into two equal parts. When do they add to 90? We have complementary angles. So what adds to 180? Supplementary angles. And what's the other one? Linear pair. Try to put all this together now on your assignment. And as always, be sure to ask if you have any questions or pause and rewatch the video.